Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and you probably heard some rumors or about JD Vance making remarks that goes outright attacking the Europeans. And of course, I also saw the rumors, but I haven't actually watched the videos. So I saw the summary of it, but no, it's never accurate to just read simplified point form summaries. It's more important to really watch the whole thing. Like I tend to watch the presser of the Trump administration because a lot of things the mainstream media will not talk about, and I like to just listen and hear exactly what they think. So this is the JD Vance remarks on the Munich security conference, and let's watch it together. I will give my live reaction. Just as the last video by Pete Hegseth. So, and I'll pause the video and let you know my opinions on specific things that he say. And let's go.
States, Mr. JD Vance, who was here last year as senator, and we are very happy that he has come back to Munich, and we are very.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you, and thanks to all the gathered delegates and luminaries and media professionals, and thanks especially to the host of the Munich Security Conference for being able to put on such an incredible event. We're of course thrilled to be here. We're happy to be here.
Are really close to the speaker.
And like one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is, of course, our shared values. And, it's great to be back in Germany, as you heard earlier. I was here last year as United States Senator. I saw Foreign Secretary David Lammy, and joked that both of us last year had different jobs than we have now. But now it's time for all of our countries, for all of those who have been fortunate enough to be given political power by our respective peoples, to use it wisely to improve their lives. And I want to say that, I was fortunate in my time here to spend some time outside the walls of this conference over the last 24 hours. And I've been so impressed by the hospitality of the people.
I tell you what, I'm going to speed up the video so this video don't go so long, because it's ultimately a 19.5 minute. So we're going to do, I can hear up to 1.5, 1.75. 2 is a bit fast, but let's do 1.5 first. Let's do 2. Let's do 2, Let's do 2. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear it, but let's see.
People, even of course as they're reeling from yesterday's horrendous attack. And the first time I was ever in Munich was with my wife, actually, who's here with me today, on a personal trip. And I've always loved the city of Munich, and I've always loved its people. And I just want to say that we're very moved, and our thoughts and prayers are with Munich and everybody affected by the evil inflicted on this beautiful community. We're thinking about you, we're praying for you, and we will certainly be rooting for you in the days and weeks to come. Now,
I think 1.5 is a bit too fast for you. I
hope that's not the last bit of applause that I get. But we gather at this conference, of course, to discuss security. And normally, we mean threats to our external security. I see many great military leaders gathered here today. But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine, and we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way to provide for its own defense, the threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within.
So this is of course the big statement that was propagated all around the world, because he's literally saying that the internal security issue, the what is threatening Europe from within, is more dangerous than Russia. And on top of that, also when I'm simply thinking of it like Munich Security Conference, so it's more European centric, but what actually can threaten Europe, like who? There's only a few actors around the world outside of Europe, and of course they are not referring to the United States generally speaking. So it's like there's only Russia, Turkey, which is somewhat European, but also not exactly European. Things happening in Middle East, which doesn't really affect them generally speaking, because Europe military wise is way more powerful than Middle East, and Middle East have really little interest in Europe and Africa. And of course, then if you go to the Asian side, there's hardly much enemies other than North Korea and China. Yeah, so sometimes when you really think about it, what is this security conference is about? It's only about Russia, right? So what else? I'm not sure. Yeah, and yeah, let's watch out.
Retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values shared with the United States of America. Now, I was struck that a former European commissioner went on television recently and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election.
Yep, I have reported about this. I think I need to slow down because these are quite important matters. So, like I find it astounding that the Romanian election was, as I reported, was cancelled over some accusations, and EU was really happy and excited to support the cancellation of the winning candidate. I find it unbelievable. Not unbelievable. I find it astounding. I believe that is possible because Europe is going to shit, and that's just how they behave nowadays. The leaders there, it's definitely not democratic at all.
He warned that if things don't go to plan, the very same thing could happen in Germany too. Now, these cavalier statements are shocking to American ears. For years, we've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values. Everything from our Ukraine policy to digital censorship is billed as a defense of democracy. But when we see European courts canceling elections and senior officials threatening to cancel others, we ought to ask whether we're holding ourselves to an appropriately high standard. And I say ourselves because I fundamentally believe that we are on the same team. We must do more than talk about democratic values. We must live them.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. But then I think Europe is really sliding down that authoritarian slide. And it's very, very hard to just ignore it, right? It's getting too bad, to the point where it's starting to fracture the European Union. You're starting to see Hungary really stand out, led by Viktor Orban. That he decided to start to really talk about it, and then now we have Slovakia doing exactly the same thing. So I think not too long soon we probably will see Meloni and some other leaders voicing up. But let's see.
Now, within living memory of many of you in this room, the Cold War positioned defenders of democracy against much more tyrannical forces on this continent. And consider the side in that fight that censored dissidents, that closed churches, that canceled elections. Were they the good guys? Certainly not. And thank God they lost the Cold War. They lost because they neither valued nor respected all of the extraordinary blessings of liberty. The freedom to surprise, to make mistakes, to invent, to build. As it turns out, you can't mandate innovation or creativity, just as you can't force people what to think, what to feel, or what to believe. And we believe those things are certainly connected.
Yeah. Shocking. I'm not sure. It is, this very logical sentence sounds like a antithesis to what European values are nowadays. It's like, if you're not supporting the correct candidate, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi. That's what is happening now in Europe, and it's horrific. As someone that is living in Singapore, and Singapore is Western aligned, it is scary because it's like, is these the partners, the circle, the side that we are more leaning towards? And this scary. Are we the bad guys? That's shocking. That's shocking.
And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs.
Yes.
A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes.
Holy shit.
Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced.
What the hell? what kind of stupid law is that? What kind of British? My British friends. What the hell was that? Is this real? Wow, that is crazy, man. 200 meters. You can't even see the freaking clinic if you're 100 meters away. Don't even talk about 200 meters. Holy shit. Oh my god. My brains.
To pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke.
He's praying for his own kid that was unborn. He's praying for his own potential children that he probably regretted aborting. Oh my god. What the? My brains.
A one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person. But no, this last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government...
Well, you can't even pray at home. Who is going to enforce that?
Urged readers to report any fellow citizen suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain...
Oh, asterisk 1. No, asterisk 1. If you get the 1984 reference, no. Or is it 87? Yeah, I can't even remember the book's name. No, asterisk 1. Thought crime, no. Get your own citizens to report each other. No, the big brother is watching.
And across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
What retreat? I don't even think there's free speech anymore. It's just that I think the only thing that there is no more free speech. The only reason now you guys who are in Britain or in Germany or in some of these European countries have free speech is because there is not enough enforcement officers doing the job to silence you. There's just not enough resources to do that. It's not because you got free speech anymore. I think it's just the lack of the lack of enforcement. And if you get a bit too famous, yeah, I'm quite sure the enforcement is going to come.
And in the interest of comedy, my friends, but also in the interest of truth, I will admit that sometimes the loudest voices for censorship have come not from within Europe, but from within my own country, where the prior administration threatened and bullied social media companies to censor so-called misinformation. Misinformation like, for example, the idea that coronavirus had likely leaked from a laboratory in China. Our own government encouraged private companies to silence people who dared to utter what turned out to be an obvious truth.
Yep.
So I come here today not just with an observation, but with an offer. And just as the Biden administration seemed desperate to silence people for speaking their minds, so the Trump administration will do precisely the opposite, and I hope that we can work together on that. In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town. And under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree.
So this is literally United States declaring war on Europe. Or at least the European elite class that, feel like, no, you peasant. No, I have to use a British accent. You peasants have no rights to talk. Something like this. No, so he basically, he doesn't look very pleased, and he's definitely, putting the hammer down and really, giving the Europeans a heads up that, United States is now going to go against these elites in Europe that is trying to silence free speech and freedom of expression. The delay in clapping is funny. Like people like, should I clap? Should I clap? Oh, these guys didn't clap. You can see, these guys are the evil people.
Now we're at the point, of course, that the situation has gotten again, how many people in the public square agree or disagree.
Oh, that's lukewarm, man.
Now we're at the point, of course, that the situation has gotten so bad that this December, Romania straight up canceled the results of a presidential election based on the flimsy suspicions of an intelligence agency and enormous pressure from its continental neighbors. Now, as I understand it, the argument was that Russian disinformation had infected the Romanian elections. But I'd ask my European friends to have some perspective. You can believe it's wrong for Russia to buy social media advertisements to influence your elections. We certainly do. You can condemn it on the world stage even. But if your democracy can be destroyed with a few $100,000 of digital advertising from a foreign country, then it wasn't very strong to begin with.
Yeah, that's basically the gist of what I was talking about in the Romanian election. Like, that little bit, of money and influence on TikTok, and there goes the whole election. How can it be possible? I even did the maths, right? The maths that we look at the numbers of views and whatnot versus the population numbers. It shouldn't have that kind of influence. It's just outright nonsensical to blame Russia or this social media campaign for the victory of one candidate. Like, the numbers don't even gel. So
now, the good news is that I happen to think your democracies are substantially less brittle than many people apparently fear. And I really do believe that allowing our citizens to speak their mind will make them stronger still. Which, of course, brings us back to Munich, where the organizers of this very conference have banned lawmakers representing populist parties on both the left and the right from participating in these conversations. Now, again, we don't have to agree with everything or anything that people say. But when political leaders represent an important constituency, it is incumbent upon us to at least participate in dialogue with them.
So this is actually a revelation that I didn't know beforehand, that they actually ban opposition parties from attending a security conference. And how can this be okay? I'm not sure. And it's a conference. It's a freaking conference. Unless these elites, they just want to party themselves. They don't want to party with anybody else. This is not really a real conference. This is just an excuse to party. That's the feeling I get. Then why do you not want to allow opposition politicians to come? And again, Russia is not invited. What kind of security are you gonna get? If you don't have a dialogue and understand the point of view of the Russians, then you're always going to misunderstand the Russians, right? So, yeah. So now they're going to understand the Americans. Next year, they're going to not invite United States. Then, yeah, take that, JD Vance. You too mouthy, Yeah.
Now, to many of us on the other side of the Atlantic, it looks more and more like old entrenched interests hiding behind ugly Soviet-era words like misinformation and disinformation, who simply don't like the idea that somebody with an alternative viewpoint might express a different opinion or, God forbid, vote a different way, or even worse, win an election. Now, this is a security conference, and I'm sure you all came here prepared to talk about how exactly you intend to increase defense spending over the next few years in line with some new target. And that's great. Because as President Trump has made abundantly clear, he believes that our European friends must play a bigger role in the future of this continent. We don't think, you hear this term, burden sharing, but we think it's an important part of being in a shared alliance together that the Europeans step up while America focuses on areas of the world that are in great danger.
So, which is something that I already shared in another video, that is not wrong. That United States wants Europeans to step up, as an alliance. if you have shared responsibility to deal with the risk around the alliance, then the Europeans take care of the security issues in the European side, and the Americans cover the rear on the Asia Pacific side, or maybe in the Middle East or Africa or South Asia. Take teamwork, teamwork. So now what there is that the Europeans expect the United States to take the lead for literally everything, but then there's a looming danger and a rising enemy in Asia Pacific, which is China, which United States is now not growing and not prepared to deal with. Trump may talk all the big words, may say all the chest thumping words, but the reality is that the United States right now is not entirely ready to take on China. Not with the last 4 years under Biden. That basically, so what happened is that under Obama there was this managed decline. Even Obama said himself that this is a managed decline. I think so, from memory. So, and Trump refused to accept that is the case, and he reversed course, went all out against China, and they managed to balance it a bit. But then Biden came in and just smash it all down the toilet bowl, and now United States is really behind. Not entirely behind in every single aspect, but United States is now going to struggle a lot more to deal with China. So what the United States geopolitical concerns is very largely lies in my region, in Eastern Asia, eastern half of Asia, primarily with China. So they need the Europeans to play their part to deal with China, to deal with Russia, or at least negotiate and talk it out to get things sorted out and stop this war from spiraling out of control and cost United States so much money that it deprived United States the ability to deal with China.
But let me also ask you, how will you even begin to think through the kinds of budgeting questions if we don't know what it is that we are defending in the first place? I've heard a lot already in my conversations, and I've had many, many great conversations with many people gathered here in this room. I've heard a lot about what you need to defend yourselves from, and of course that's important. But what has seemed a little bit less clear to me, and certainly I think to many of the citizens of Europe, is what exactly it is that you're defending yourselves for. What is the positive vision that animates this shared security compact that we all believe is so important?
European values, whatever that is.
I believe,
buy two, get one free,
deeply, that there is no security if you are afraid of the voices, the opinions, and the conscience that guide your very own people.
Again, JD Vance is talking about the suppression of free speech in Europe again. So clearly, I would say that you can also look at this in a more insidious way, that United States want regime change in Europe for various countries. So he wanted all this free speech to be able to be allowed, so that the other parties can then replace all these difficult elite leaders that United States hate to negotiate with or deal with. So this is you can look at this in a very negative way. That United States really wants to change the leaders of various European countries, particularly for European Union, so that they can have better negotiation and partnership with all these European countries. Right now, all these elites in Europe, most of them is just not what America wants.
Europe faces many challenges, but the crisis this continent faces right now, the crisis I believe we all face together, is one of our own making. If you're running in fear of your own voters, there is nothing America can do for you. Nor, for that matter, is there anything that you can do for the American people who elected me and elected President Trump. You need democratic mandates to accomplish anything of value in the coming years. Have we learned nothing? That thin mandates produce unstable results. But there is so much of value that can be accomplished with the kind of democratic mandate that I think will come from being more responsive to the voices of your citizens.
Holy shit. Read between the lines, he's trying to say Europe is not democratic. Boom. Crazy. Oh my God. You Europeans are not democratic. Oh my freaking God. Oh no. Emotional damage.
If you're going to enjoy competitive economies, if you're going to enjoy affordable energy and secure supply chains, then you need mandates to govern, because you have to make difficult choices to enjoy all of these things. And of course, we know that very well in America. You cannot win a democratic mandate by censoring your opponents or putting them in jail, whether that's the leader of the opposition, a humble Christian praying in her own home, or a journalist trying to report the news.
I would have thought that he was talking about Russia. If you just clip out this part, I would have imagined that he's talking about Russia. But no, he's talking about Europe. Oh my God.
Nor can you win one by disregarding your basic electorate on questions like who gets to be a part of our shared society. And of all the pressing challenges that the nations represented here face, I believe there is nothing more urgent than mass migration. Today, almost 1 in 5 people living in this country moved here from abroad. That is, of course, an all-time high. It's a similar number, by the way, in the United States, also an all-time high. The number of immigrants who entered the EU from non-EU countries doubled between 2021 and 2022 alone, and of course, it's gotten much higher since. And we know the situation, it didn't materialize in a vacuum. It's the result of a series of conscious decisions made by politicians all over the continent and others across the world over the span of a decade. We saw the horrors wrought by these decisions yesterday in this very city. And of course, I can't bring it up again without thinking about the terrible victims who had a beautiful winter day in Munich ruined. Our thoughts and prayers are with them and will remain with them. But why did this happen in the first place?
Yeah, because we need to give them asylums. Because they are poor things and their countries are shit, and then they need to come to Europe to have a better life, to live under the highway and still have a shitty life. So yeah, and I'm not sure. No, this is it's still something that I'm still trying to figure out. Like, why is there this crazy illegal immigrants or migrant crisis in the entire Western world? Like, the migrant crisis did not go to South Korea or Japan or China, but for that matter, no, they collectively all go to Europe and United States and Canada. It's like, yeah, there's something going on. And of course, during DPA Open Mic, we do talk a little bit about this. I've shared before, don't know, 1 or 2 Open Mic ago, what I think. But yeah, it's just largely conspiracy, I guess. I'm not sure. Yeah, let's watch on.
It's a terrible story, but it's one we've heard way too many times in Europe and unfortunately too many times in the United States as well. An asylum seeker, often a young man in his mid-20s, already known to police, rams a car into a crowd and shatters a community. How many times must we suffer these appalling setbacks before we change course and take our shared civilization in a new direction?
Another million times, because I think the Europeans can take a lot of casualties before they admit something is wrong. Yeah.
No voter on this continent went to the ballot box to open the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants.
You sure? I'm not so sure. Maybe the Europeans really voted for that, right? I don't know. You know yourself, right? You Europeans, European values, very hard to understand for Asian. Like, what the hell, man? What do I know?
But you know what they did vote for?
No, I do not know. What did they vote for?
In England, they voted for Brexit, and agree or disagree, they voted for it. And more.
Holy shit! No, he stabbed that knife into Europe, and then he now twisted.
More all over Europe, they're voting for political leaders who promise to put an end to out-of-control migration. Now, I happen to agree with a lot of these concerns, but you don't have to agree with me. I just think that people care about their homes, they care about their dreams, they care about their safety and their capacity to provide for themselves and their children. And they're smart. I think this is...
No. From my understanding, from talking to some of you guys, it's like, now, how about the Europeans that and Americans that bombed the Middle East, that bombed their country and caused them to not have a life? They should take responsibility. Yeah, I say what you say in your brain, so I know.
This is one of the most important things I've learned in my brief time in politics. Contrary to what you might hear a couple mountains over in Davos, The citizens of all of our nations don't generally think of themselves as educated animals or as interchangeable cogs of a global economy. And it's hardly surprising that they don't want to be shuffled about or relentlessly ignored by their leaders. And it is the business of democracy to adjudicate these big questions at the ballot box. I believe that dismissing people, dismissing their concerns, or worse yet, shutting down media, shutting down elections, or shutting people out of the political process protects nothing.
It's important to see that a lot of the crowd there is all generals and military people, which for this kind of issues, is internal political issues that I don't think they can get involved. And yeah, no, this is what JD said is similar as what I've always been telling people as well. No, vote, go and vote. No, yes, you may think that this is nonsense. No, you may think that yeah, it's all rigged. Just vote. Just vote the best person that you think is worthy of your vote. And that's it. You have to vote. You cannot don't vote. When you don't vote, you lose the right to complain. That's why I think if you don't go to the polling station during election to vote, then you have zero rights to complain about what is to come and what went wrong, because you didn't play your part, your duty as a citizen, not to vote. Freaking vote. What's so difficult, man? Nobody asked you to climb the Mount Everest, right? So,
in fact, it is the most surefire way to destroy democracy. And speaking up and expressing opinions isn't election interference, even when people express views outside your own country and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor, if American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk.
Yeah, a few years of Greta Thunberg on United States. Europe should be able to survive a few months of Elon Musk. I'm not sure if it's a very good comparison, but it's funny because Elon Musk is way more powerful and influential than Greta. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that he definitely made a point. So he didn't just stab the knife, twist it, and then he just push it into the body.
But what no democracy, American, German, or European, will survive is telling millions of voters that their thoughts and concerns, their aspirations, their pleas for relief are invalid or unworthy of even being considered.
He literally pointed out Germany. Then he realized that, okay, he cannot just talk about Germany alone. So, he added more democracies behind it. But he's literally pointing fingers at Germany.
Democracy rests on the sacred principle that the voice of the people matters. There's no room for firewalls. You either uphold the principle or you don't.
Yeah, you either believe in freedom of information and free speech and free expression, or you don't, like China, like maybe Russia, or you're just British, you're just British and European then. Yeah, because you British and Europeans now is not much difference from the Chinese. They are literally moving in that direction. So yeah, JD Vance is basically calling them out for their bullshit.
Europeans, the people, have a voice. European leaders have a choice. And my strong belief is that we do not need to be afraid of the future. You can embrace what your people tell you, even when it's surprising, even when you don't agree. And if you do so, you can face the future with certainty and with confidence, knowing that the nation stands behind each of you. And
No. Those peasants have no right to tell us what to do. JD, those are peasants.
That to me is the great magic of democracy. It's not in these stone buildings or beautiful hotels. It's not even in the great institutions that we have built together as a shared society. To believe in democracy is to understand.
So many generals. So that all these people that is wearing uniform, they're not going to be meaningful, because they are all going to just follow orders. It's the politicians, the elites, the business elites, financial elites, the people that is in maybe all these suits, that probably matters more. The generals, unless you're talking about they are willing to do military coups, yeah, then I don't think they matters at all.
That each of our citizens has wisdom and has a voice. And if we refuse to listen to that voice, even our most successful fights will secure very little. As Pope John Paul II, in my view, one of the most extraordinary champions of democracy on this continent or any other, once said, "Do not be afraid. We shouldn't be afraid of our people, even when they express views that disagree with their leadership." Thank you all. Good luck to all of you. God bless you.
And Slava Ukraine. And I thought that's what he's gonna say, but no. Yeah, it's a very good speech. It definitely sounds the alarm for Europeans. It definitely try to wake the Europeans up, the European population. It's not just the elites. No, this of course is is a warning to the elites. He's basically giving them a heads up that United States is not going to support whatever is happening in Europe. However, it's more towards a message to the populations that you have the United States is now behind you to support your free speech and freedom of expression, and they should not tolerate this kind of governments. So but how would this play out remains to be seen. Definitely, the divide between United States and Europe is definitely widening until you guys, the Europeans that is watching, vote and kick out all these crazy, politicians that is leading your country. But of course, depend on maybe some of you guys may have a decent leader, like in Hungary. I think Viktor Orban is awesome. Maybe Slovakia. Yeah. So who knows? So it's important. Just go and vote and do what you need to do. But geopolitically, I think this message is going to largely be rejected. The main reason is because the European leaders that he's criticizing has basically spent way too much political capital on doing whatever they're doing. So they're going to double down, triple down, quadruple down, and they are not. They cannot get out because you have to balance it with their political capital spent on supporting Ukraine and demonizing Russia as well. So it's all linked, and they cannot just throw aside one and then do the other. It's just going to be very difficult. They cannot do a 180-degree U-turn as well. So it definitely there needs to be some kind of a revolution in Europe. At the polls, I'm not talking about violent revolutions. I'm talking about in the elections, they overthrow the government, the ruling party, and change another party or leader. I think that's the only way that Europe can actually re-steer themselves towards the Europe that I know. It's just disappointing, because most Asians in various Asian countries always looked up to the West. Maybe it's the white superiority complex, maybe, but ultimately, they were the leaders of the world in terms of culture and technology, and the Asians really wanted to reach the level that the Europeans have. But at this moment now, it looks like the Europeans are falling behind and looking like shit, and yet they still hold way too much power to the point where they are becoming a danger to the world. So anyway, thank you for watching. Press the like button and subscribe. So hopefully you enjoy this live watch reaction to JD Vance lecturing the Europeans at the Munich Security Conference. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next update.